the 11th episode, or more like 10th episode, part 2 of With Misfits. I'm your host, Kelly.
And I'm your co-host, Nishigandha.
Today we're going to be talking about, since it's part 2 of episode 10, it's still relationships, but it's more on how they are toxic, how they can be toxic, how that can affect you, and just how, they can be good, bad, how you can get rid of, avoid, and things like that. So, I think last episode we spoke about types of relationships, and we kind of spoke about how relationships affect you or your growth. What kind of relationships you have with different things. So, for more detail, how can they affect you? Like, what can it lead to in you, basically?
If you go according to each types of, relationship, then I think it would be
like generally.
Generally,
I think all of it has an impact on your mental health. That's obvious.
Yes.
Sometimes your physical health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like mental health, in that you get insecure and you feel
anxiety, guilt sometimes,
shame,
depression sometimes, insecurity. You said.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you have an issue with one relationship, one aspect in one relationship, like for example, you have an issue with your family relationships, you tend to have issues in other relationships as well.
Yes.
So it's not like one part of your life, relationship with one part of your life is bad. That means all your other parts are necessarily good.
Yeah, so it's usually linked to each relationship.
Yeah.
So now if you have a difficulty with your family, then it can affect your romantic relationship.
Exactly. And if you have an issue with your romantic relationship, it can affect either friendships, workplaces, relationship with yourself, relationship with your kids, just everything. So basically, if you think you're having an issue with one aspect of your life, don't just say, okay, this is the problem. Just kind of assess everything.
Analyze
you need to see where and how it started.
Yes.
There is a possibility it started when you were a child. I know it's a long shot, but there is a possibility it started when you were a child. It could be the reason you're acting this way is because of what happened in your childhood. And I think we're going into too much of an analysis right now. No more psychoanalysis. But so relationships can be toxic. That is a fact. Right? How can they be toxic? How can a family relationship be toxic? Because again, when we talk about toxic relationships, the first thing that comes to our head is romantic relationship. And when we talk about toxic relationships, the first thing that comes to our head is physical abuse.
Yes.
But that's not the only thing that's toxic. Yeah, it can be mental abuse, emotional abuse as well. Emotional abuse. So we're going to talk more about emotional abuse because everyone knows how to detect physical abuse. That's kind of obvious.
Yes.
So how can a family relationship be toxic?
Family relationship, if the family is disturbed or if they have a disorganized pattern, behavior-wise. So if they have some kind of a difficulty, then it affects their mental health. So whoever is dealing with it. So it could be if the family is if the parents are going through divorce, then the child will feel a little more lonely and feel that, no one is there to take care of them.
Yeah.
They will have they have to take care of their parents as well as themselves, and they get confused.
I think that's an example of more indirect effect on the child. It's not a direct effect, or it's not like the parent is being toxic to the child. Now, but if you say the parent is being toxic to the child, it could mean that parent is ignoring the child, the parent is taunting the child, or choosing one sibling over the other.
Comparison.
Comparison. Those all are examples of how family can be toxic.
Yeah.
Talking behind your back, or whether behind your back, just spreading stories about you that are not true, spreading rumors about you that are not true, making fun of you, calling you good for nothing, things like this. Just anything that you can think of that your parent is saying or your family is saying about you that affects you, that you wouldn't want someone to say about you, picking on your insecurities.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, more like, guilt shaming you.
Yeah.
Like telling you like how you are supposed to be and how you are not good enough.
Exactly.
Like obviously, like how you said, comparing
to others.
You're not doing well in your studies, whereas the other person is doing excellent.
Yeah. Now, I think a lot of people would kind of say, "Oh my God, my parent is comparing me to my neighbor's child." That is toxic. It's not necessarily toxic because they've done it once. They've done it twice, maybe. Okay?
Not every time.
When it starts affecting you or your mental health, that is when it becomes toxic. When they keep doing it over and over, like every chance they get, the minute they see you, oh my God, you're wearing black clothes. Look at that one, how nicely she's dressed. Every small little thing, when they do, that is being toxic. Because my parents, I don't remember if they've compared me to someone, but they might have, but I have been very vocal, so even if they did, I would be like, stop doing that, I don't want it. So, but I have seen a lot of people who do that still.
Yeah, I have also, I'm not experienced it, but I've seen people experience that. So a girl, she feels that, she's quite fat. So she's quite healthy. And her mother keeps saying that, you need to be thin, you need to lose weight because you look really fat and all that. So that idea is stuck into her head.
Right.
And she feels that I need to lose weight, right. I should not eat, I should not do this.
That leads to like eating disorders and things like that.
So it affects her mindset and her ideology about herself.
Exactly. There is one parent I know who's always constantly, just taunting their child, mostly like siblings. So taunting both of them. She's just like, I don't know whether she doesn't get the idea or she just does it. I don't know what. But keeps taunting, saying things, bringing up past relationships for no reason. They're past relationships. They're over. They're finished. Yes, they made a mistake, but bringing it up again and again. After one of them breaks up, she says things like, you won't be good enough for someone else, or they'll also break up with you. Nasty things like that.
Yeah.
That is being very toxic. Yeah. Very, very toxic.
Because you have to deal with it.
Yeah, you cannot be so nasty. What they do is they just ignore her. They know her. They know the way she is. So every time that happens, they just, say like, okay, whatever. Now, and obviously they do have people to talk to. They do have people to say help or whatever. So it's not that bad. But some people have it bad when they don't have people to talk to.
Yeah. There are many situations where I've heard from like my friends or whatever. So they have, they feel quite insecure being in that house.
They don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do next.
Exactly.
Even if they try to speak to someone, they don't know what to speak.
What to say, because they're speaking against their family.
Exactly. Yeah, so they feel like, that guilt or the shame that, I'm talking about my family to someone. So
and also, I think, the one thing that we tell, or me as a psychologist tell my clients whenever they come up with things like this is, because we are living in this society in India, you can't really do it. Abroad you can. But I tell them, usually what you would do in this situation is you would cut them out of your life. Now, you could do that for family, as in your relatives, your uncles, your aunts. Do not meet them as often. People you don't really live with. But what do you do when your parents are like that? So what I tell them is just try not to get into their way. Try to do your thing. Stay out of their way. Whatever they're going to say, they're going to say. And always work with that aim or that goal that you have to get out. Work with that goal in mind, because you cannot stay there any longer. If it was abroad, if it was any Western country, it would have been easier because everyone moves out of the house.
Correct.
Over here, you can't really move out of the house because, well,
it's the culture.
It's how it is. You can't, you bring it up and people start talking about you even more. They start talking about you even more. So, I mean, I have a client who's done it, and good for her, because she just went out of the house. She left her house. Her parents continued spreading rumors about her and things. I know, it's sad, right?
That's very sad.
Continued spreading rumors about her, but she didn't really bother. She left the house, she started her own businesses, just small things, and she's doing her own thing. And she tried to, talk to them. So she told them one thing: I'm not going to live here anymore because I feel like I'm being suffocated and I can't breathe. But I'll come here whenever, for lunch, for birthdays, for whatever. But I'm not staying.
Okay.
I will go back
to
my place.
Okay.
Wherever it is.
That's nice.
Okay. So that is the situation. And whenever you ask the parents, where is she, whatever, they'll just be like, she's working somewhere, so she's staying closer to her workplace. Because now they've probably realized the fact that things can't work out this way. She's made a stand. She's taken a stand. But she's older. She's 25. She's probably our age.
Okay.
So she's able to take that stand.
Yes.
There are a lot of them going who are 16.
Yeah, and
that's exactly, that's very difficult for them. So what I tell them is the small trick. Just tell them you want to study. Find a place in Pune, Bangalore, anywhere outside Goa. Go study. Because then it gives you 3 years of independence where you're away from them.
Yes.
You can do your thing. You can kind of be in a new environment, a fresh environment, and possibly be happy and away from all the toxicity. So that's what I tell them when it comes to family. Because it's a very tricky situation.
Yeah, because you cannot actually tell them directly, this is how I feel. Even though you tell them, they might take it in a wrong way.
They'll definitely take it in a wrong way.
So it's difficult to explain it to them and tell them, this is how I feel and this is what I feel about myself, and whatever you were saying is
First of all, I have a feeling that the minute you say, this is what I feel, it's just be like, I don't care what you feel.
What we say is right. So that's more like a relationship, it's a parent to child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then like the child telling the parent.
Kind of reciprocation.
Yes.
Both. Right. So, parents, family members. It's easier with family members. You can just stop going for their functions, stop entertaining them.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's okay.
I've done that.
Toxic family. Yeah. I think a lot of people have, these judgy family members. And sometimes you have to keep them close, but you kind of make it known to them that you're not so close.
Yes.
Stay there.
Just stay there.
You can look at me, you can do whatever you want, but stay there. Kind of a situation. Alright, next we have society. Oh my god, I think that's the most toxic thing ever. Society.
That is not that easy, but it can be.
I think for society, you just ignore. That's the
motto.
That's the thing.
Idea.
That's the whole thing with society. Because society, whether it's online, whether it's offline, whether it's your neighbors, whether it's just people, they're always going to be
direct, indirect, whatever way it is.
They're going to be toxic. They're gonna be toxic. Definitely. And every single person is living in a toxic society. Whether you know it or not, whether you experience it or not. Some are just better at ignoring it, better at saying, I don't really care what society says. I don't really care what society thinks. And some are less better at it.
Yeah.
Like I always was the type who doesn't care about society because, I mean, they are nothing to me.
No, the way that I have been is totally different. Like I used to always.
What will people say?
Yes, what do people say? How are they looking at me? How are they judging me? How am I taking care of myself?
Yeah.
And what they will think about me? That is like the most important phrase that is always there. Like, okay, what are they thinking about me right now? Do I have to be conscious?
I've never given a shit about what people think of me. It's not because I think highly of myself. It's just because whatever they think doesn't affect me because I don't really care about them. Like, they don't matter to me. Yes, if they're dying, I'll probably go help them. Ask them if they're okay, call the ambulance. But their opinions, their suggestions, their things about appearances or how I look or how I'm doing things or what I'm doing, who I'm with, I don't really care about that. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I'm never going to be in contact with them. Mm-hmm. I'm never probably going to meet them again. And even if I do see them again, it's just for maybe 1 hour, 2 hours maximum. It's not like I'm living with them. It's not. It's just so it's a. But our culture, especially Goa, especially Goa, is what will people think?
It's a small world.
You want to, but I mean, how much are you going to live in that fear of what will people think? You want to wear shorts? Oh my God, what will people think?
Actually, Goa is not like that. I mean,
you have not lived in the villages. You live in the city. It's different.
All right. Okay.
But every person who has Goan relatives, people who have lived in Goa for years, Goan grandparents, like my grandparents they're not Goans, they've just not lived in Goa. My grandmother has not lived in Goa. My parents, my father's side, not born in Goa. So, they don't have that mentality of thinking about what would Goa think. I mean, what would people think? But my mother, she doesn't really have what will people think. She has more like, what would her family say? And I'm like, who cares? About what your family. But I have seen a lot.
Okay.
What would people think of situations like whether you go out in the night, especially if you're a girl, like you go out in the night, you're always out. What the kind of job you're doing, the kind of clothes you're wearing, the kind of people you're hanging out with, what will people think?
This is something new to me because I've never heard people say that here.
Yeah, they do. They do a lot. See, it's that bubble you're living in.
Yeah.
Right? So you've not lived in maybe the villages where there are more
orthodox?
Not orthodox, it's more
different ideologies.
Yeah, they have a different ideology. They have a more simple-mindedness kind of situation. They look at you if you wear some feathers on your head kind of thing.
Oh, that's
like that.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
Yeah. So those kind of things. So there is, the minute you worry about people staring at you, it's what will people think.
Correct.
Right? You don't have to say it. You know it.
Yeah.
So the minute someone asks you, go change, that's not acceptable. What will people think? You don't have to really use the words, what will people think?
Yeah.
It is in these subtle phrases that say, don't wear that.
Go change.
Go change. Don't do this. Don't go there. What if someone sees you? What if they pass you? Things like that. So, or just lie about where you were. Sometimes your own family tells you to not tell other people where you are, what you're doing, and stuff like that. So, those are the signs of what will people think.
Yes.